Staying warm with no gas or electricity might sound impossible today, but the Inuit did it for centuries. They lived in freezing places and still found smart, cheap ways to stay warm. No gadgets, no bills, just real methods that worked. Here are 15 ways they made it through the cold. The first one starts with a soft flame and a steady hand. When temperatures hit -50, the Inuit turned to the kulik, a crescent-shaped oil lamp carved from soapstone. It burned seal fat, lit their homes, cooked their food, and more importantly, kept the cold from creeping in too far. These lamps weren't just beautiful, they were survival tools. Think of it as the world's first two-in-one deal, home decor that also keeps you from freezing to death. The kulik burned seal oil with a cotton grass or moss wick along the straight edge, providing a controlled, steady flame. One kulik could raise the temperature inside an igloo by 15 degrees, enough to transform a freezing snow house into a relatively cozy shelter. Talk about a home heating system that doesn't send you monthly bills that make you want to move to the tropics. These lamps were incredibly efficient, with skilled lamp tenders maintaining the perfect flame height. Too high would create smoke. Too low wouldn't provide enough heat. It was the original smart home technology, except the programming language was generations of survival knowledge. A well-maintained kulik could burn for hours on just a small amount of seal oil during the long, dark Arctic winters. While the kulik provided crucial heat, staying truly warm required more than just fire. The Inuit also needed to insulate their bodies from within. The Inuit understood something most of us have forgotten in our calorie-counting modern world. Fat isn't just something to avoid, it's survival fuel for cold climates. While the kulik warmed their shelters, seal fat warmed their bodies from the inside out. In temperatures where exposed skin could freeze in minutes, the Inuit regularly consumed generous portions of nutrient-rich seal fat. This wasn't just about staying full, it was strategic eating. A single pound of seal fat contains an astounding 9,000 calories, more than 4 times what an average person eats in a day. Those weren't love handles developing around their midsections, they were personal heating systems. Did you know your body actually burns more calories trying to stay warm in cold weather? Studies show that people in freezing environments can burn up to 30% more calories just maintaining body temperature. The Inuits' high-fat diet provided the perfect fuel for this increased energy demand. Seal fat is particularly effective because it's packed with omega-3 fatty acids, which help the body maintain flexible cell membranes even in freezing temperatures. It's like having antifreeze for your blood that tastes like fish. The Inuit would often eat this fat raw, frozen, or slightly aged preparation methods that preserve these essential nutrients. Unlike carbohydrates, which burn quickly, fat releases energy slowly, providing a steady internal heat source that lasts for hours. This meant sustained warmth through long hunting trips or overnight in the frigid Arctic air. While internal insulation from fat kept their core warm, the Inuit also needed to protect their bodies from the outside elements. External protection came in the form of carefully crafted clothing, with caribou fur ranking as the ultimate Arctic insulator. Nothing in the modern world quite matches its remarkable properties. A caribou's hollow hair traps air like microscopic thermos bottles, creating exceptional warmth without the bulk of today's winter gear. Tests have shown that caribou fur provides 5 times more insulation than wool of the same thickness. Even more impressive, a person wearing traditional caribou clothing can comfortably stand motionless at -40 degrees, a temperature where exposed skin freezes in just 30 seconds. Modern winterwear companies are still trying to catch up to what the Inuit mastered centuries ago, but with fewer cool antlers in their design meetings. The secret lies in how Inuit tailors handled the fur. Unlike European clothing, which removed animal pelts from their natural state, traditional Inuit parkas kept the fur intact, with the hollow hairs facing outward. This created a waterproof barrier that repelled snow and wind while trapping a layer of warm air next to the skin. Caribou fur contains nearly 24,000 hollow hairs per square inch, each one a tiny insulation chamber. Each hollow hair shaft also contains dead airspace, nature's perfect insulator. The Inuit noticed the caribou never showed signs of cold stress, even in blizzard conditions, making their fur the obvious choice for extreme conditions. The traditional winter outfit included a double-layer design, an inner layer with fur facing inward and an outer layer with fur facing outward. This turned humans into the original Arctic turducken, except instead of bird in bird in bird, it was human in fur in fur. This double-layer system created a warm microclimate around the body, but exceptional clothing alone wasn't enough. Have you ever jumped into ice-cold clothes on a winter morning? The Inuit faced this problem daily, except their cold was deadly serious. It's like hitting your body with a surprise tax audit, but instead of money, you're losing heat. Their solution: pre-warm clothing under bedding or animal skins before wearing it. When outside temperatures dropped to -50 degrees, the difference between pre-warmed and cold clothing could mean losing up to 20% of your body heat in minutes. Getting dressed in the Arctic without pre-warming your clothes would be like jumping into a swimming pool to dry off. Technically possible, but a really bad idea. The Inuit would tuck the next day's clothing under their sleeping furs, using body heat throughout the night to warm the garments. It's essentially the world's first electric blanket, except the electricity is you. Children's smaller garments were placed in the middle of communal sleeping areas, where multiple people's body heat would keep them warmest. This technique was especially important for footwear. Cold boots could lead to numb feet within minutes, making walking difficult and frostbite likely. Cold feet in the Arctic isn't just uncomfortable, it's like trying to text with frozen fingers, except instead of typos, you get frostbite. Every detail of Inuit clothing design was carefully considered, especially when it came to protecting the most vulnerable parts of the body. Among the most crucial pieces of Arctic clothing were mukluks, the specialized footwear that kept Inuit feet functioning at temperatures where exposed toes would freeze solid in minutes. Crafted primarily from seal skin and moose hide, mukluks weren't just shoes. They were mobile survival systems for the feet, unlike modern boots with thick rubber soles that become stiff in extreme cold. Traditional mukluks featured thin, flexible soles made from tough sealskin. This design allowed wearers to actually feel the ice beneath their feet, providing crucial information about terrain. When walking on thin ice, it's better to feel it shifting before you take a polar plunge. Wet feet at -40 is never a fun party trick. The uppers were made from moose hide, valued for its durability even when repeatedly wet and dried. Inside, they were lined with rabbit fur or soft materials that provided exceptional insulation. Some designs incorporated dried grass as insulation, nature's version of memory foam, except it actually kept blood flowing to your toes. Properly made, mukluks can keep feet warm in temperatures as low as -60 degrees Celsius for several hours, far outperforming modern synthetic materials. The secret lies in breathability and insulation. Moisture from sweat could escape rather than freezing inside the boot. Frozen foot sweat might sound like a weird heavy metal band name, but in reality, it's a fast track to frostbite. These boots could be quickly disassembled, dried over a kulik flame, and reassembled during long journeys, a feature no modern boot manufacturer has successfully replicated. While specialized footwear protected extremities, the Inuit needed an equally ingenious solution for their homes. How did people stay warm in houses made of frozen water? The secret is snow, specifically compacted snow packed with air pockets that trap heat. It's nature's insulation, and it works surprisingly well. Igloos use this to full effect. Their dome shape isn't just for looks, it's strong and great at holding in warmth. While it might be -40 outside, the inside can stay just below freezing, a huge life-saving difference. The trick is picking the right snow, not too soft, not too icy. Skilled builders could whip up a basic igloo in under an hour, and thanks to the shape, body heat circulated evenly instead of escaping. These shelters worked so well that people often had to poke ventilation holes to avoid overheating. Yes, overheating. In a house made of snow. Suddenly, your drafty apartment doesn't sound so bad. But the igloo's walls were just the beginning of the Inuits' clever home design. Inside these ice structures, they created a complete living system with features that maximized every bit of precious heat. Would you sleep directly on ice if you had a choice? Of course not. In igloos, sleeping platforms were built using snow blocks to keep people off the cold ground. This raised design worked due to a simple fact of physics: heat rises. The temperature difference between floor level and platform level could be as much as 15 degrees. By raising their sleeping areas 18 to 24 inches above the entrance area, the Inuit created a natural temperature gradient inside the igloo. The cold air would sink to the lowest part near the entrance tunnel, while the warmer air would collect at the top of the dome and around the raised platform. It's like having your own VIP section in a nightclub, except instead of avoiding the crowd, you're avoiding hypothermia. These platforms were covered with caribou hides, providing additional insulation between body and snow. Another advantage was moisture control. Any melted snow would drain away from the sleeping area, keeping bedding dry. Wet bedding in sub-zero temperatures is about as welcome as a sneeze in a space helmet. Technically survivable, but definitely a problem you'd rather avoid. Despite these clever designs, Arctic nights were still bitterly cold. To combat this, the Inuit developed a survival strategy that humans have used since ancient times, but perfected in their harsh environment. In extremely cold environments, Inuit people would sleep close together to share body heat. The human body constantly generates heat, about the same amount as a 100-watt light bulb when resting. 5 adults sleeping close together can raise the ambient temperature in their immediate surroundings by as much as 10 to 15 degrees, enough to make the difference between freezing and surviving through the night. Modern couples who fight over blankets would never survive an Arctic winter. The Inuit mastered the art of sleeping in close quarters without midnight turf wars over the covers. Family members would arrange themselves on the raised platforms with careful consideration for age and body heat production. Elders and young children, who typically generate less body heat, would be positioned in the middle of the group, where they could benefit most from the warmth of others. On hunting trips, groups of men would often sleep in a circular formation, feet toward the center like spokes on a wheel. This arrangement maximized shared warmth, while minimizing the total surface area exposed to cold air. Heat loss calculations show this method reduces overnight cooling by approximately 30% compared to sleeping alone. The Inuit understood that in extreme cold, privacy was a luxury that couldn't compete with survival. Social distancing would have been considered a death sentence, not a public health measure. This practice maximized warmth during the coldest nights, ensuring that everyone in the shelter stayed warm. While body heat provided crucial warmth from within the shelter, keeping the biting Arctic wind from penetrating their clothing required yet another ingenious solution. Inuit clothing was made windproof by using animal intestines, such as those from seals, to block cold winds. Seal intestines, when properly cleaned and dried, create a translucent material that blocks wind completely while remaining incredibly lightweight. A standard hunting parka made from this material weighed less than 12 ounces yet could withstand hurricane-force winds. When you tell people you're wearing intestines, they might keep their distance, which actually helps with that whole body heat conservation thing. The intestines were carefully cleaned, inflated to dry, split lengthwise, and then sewn together with sinew thread. Tests show 0 air penetration through this material even in 50-mile-per-hour winds, while modern fabrics allow some air movement. The intestine material had another benefit. It was somewhat translucent. During winter hunts, a hunter wearing a gut parka appeared to glow slightly in the dim Arctic light. It was basically the original safety gear, visible at night without requiring batteries that die right when you need them most. These membranes were lightweight but effective at blocking wind and trapping heat inside. Windproofing was essential for protecting exposed skin from freezing winds. While this exceptional outer layer protected against wind, the Inuit also redesigned their homes to manage another invisible adversary. Igloos were designed with a double entrance or a long tunnel to prevent cold air from entering the living space. cold air has a simple physical property: it sinks. The Inuit used this knowledge to design entrance tunnels that dipped below the main living area, sometimes extending up to 10 feet in length. Any cold air that rushed in when someone entered would naturally flow downward into this tunnel, rather than rising into the warmer living space above. The entrance tunnels were often built with sharp turns or multiple chambers, creating what we now call cold traps in modern architecture. These design elements forced cold air to drop its chill into the snow walls before it could reach the living space. It's basically the world's first airlock, except instead of keeping astronauts from exploding in space, it kept families from freezing at dinner. Temperature measurements taken in traditional igloos show that even when the door is opened several times, the interior temperature rarely drops more than a few degrees when these entrance tunnels are properly designed. Some Inuit groups even included cold wells, deeper sections in the entrance tunnel specifically designed to collect and trap the densest, coldest air. These wells worked so effectively that the living area could maintain a consistent temperature of just below freezing, even when the outside temperature was -40 degrees. In larger, multi-family winter houses, the entrance tunnels became impressive engineering features extending 20 feet or more. These weren't just doorways, they were the original Arctic mudrooms, except instead of leaving wet boots at the door, you were leaving behind potential hypothermia. While carefully designed entrances helped keep the cold at bay, the Inuit knew that staying warm sometimes required more active approaches to generate body heat. Inuit people stayed active outdoors to generate heat, engaging in activities like hunting, ice cutting, and hauling supplies. Sitting still is the fastest way to freeze in the Arctic. The Inuit understood that movement equals heat, making physical activity a crucial survival strategy during the coldest months. Unlike modern fitness enthusiasts who need expensive gym memberships to get moving, the Inuit incorporated necessary physical work into their daily routines. Hunting wasn't just about getting food, it was also about staying warm. A hunting trip across the ice could involve hiking, running, digging, and hauling heavy loads, all of which generated significant body heat. Just 4 hours of active hunting could burn up to 3,000 calories. The original Arctic workout plan didn't have fancy marketing or monthly fees, but it did have a strong motivational program: move or freeze. Studies of traditional Inuit activity patterns show they rarely remained completely still for more than 20 minutes at a time during daylight hours. Many Inuit hunting tools were designed to require physical effort that generated heat. Ice fishing holes weren't drilled with power augers, but chopped manually with ice chisels, an activity that could raise core body temperature by several degrees in minutes. This approach to cold weather was the opposite of our modern, stay inside where it's warm mentality. The Inuit would look at people who hibernate all winter with Netflix and say, "That's how you get cold." They understood that the human body is remarkably efficient at generating its own heat through movement, a natural furnace fueled by food and activated by activity. Movement helped keep the body warm and prevented heat loss, which could occur from prolonged inactivity. During longer journeys away from their main shelters, however, the Inuit needed clever ways to supplement the warmth from physical activity with other ingenious heating methods. During longer hunting trips or temporary stops, Inuit groups sometimes used heated stones in shallow pits for warmth. The process began by digging a shallow depression in the ground or snow and lining it with the largest flat stones available. A small fire, using whatever fuel could be found, dried moss, animal fat, or bits of driftwood, would be lit on top of these stones. The fire didn't need to be large or long-lasting. Its purpose wasn't direct heating, but transferring heat into the stones, which would then radiate warmth for hours. It's like making a stone battery that charges in 20 minutes but keeps you warm all night. A technology Apple still hasn't figured out how to put in an iPhone. Dense stones like basalt or granite work best, as they could absorb tremendous heat without cracking. A 10-pound stone heated thoroughly could release enough warmth to keep a person comfortable for several hours in below freezing temperatures. Hunters would then arrange their sleeping furs around or directly over the warm stones. The radiant heat would penetrate the furs from below, while body heat warmed from above. Today we call this principle thermal mass heating and charge people thousands of dollars to install it in eco-friendly homes. The Inuit mastered it with nothing but rocks and careful observation. While these heating methods helped on journeys, proper clothing care was equally essential for day-to-day warmth in the settlement. Keeping clothes dry was crucial in preventing rapid heat loss. Wet clothing loses its insulating properties, leading to faster cooling. The Inuit would vigorously beat their outer garments with sticks or bone tools to remove frost or snow before it could melt. Your fancy high-tech moisture-wicking outdoor gear? The Inuit had their own version. It just involved more hitting things with sticks. When clothes did get damp, they would wear the item as the innermost layer, allowing body heat to dry it. For soaked items, they would freeze the garment completely, then crush and break the ice crystals to remove moisture. Inside dwellings, careful placement near the kulik allowed clothes to dry without scorching. Wet clothing can steal body heat 25 times faster than dry clothing. In the Arctic, a damp mitten isn't just uncomfortable, it's about as useful for survival as a chocolate teapot. While keeping outer clothing dry was crucial, the Inuit also developed specialized hand protection with unique insulating properties. Inuit mittens were sometimes stuffed with animal hair or down to trap more heat. The loose insulation allowed warm air to circulate while keeping the cold out, much like modern down gloves. Hair from caribou or other animals was ideal because it was lightweight, warm, and naturally repelled moisture. Modern winter gear companies market revolutionary breathable insulation for hundreds of dollars, but the Inuit figured out the perfect mitten filling from watching which animals stayed warmest in winter. The hair-filled mittens could be up to 40% warmer than solid fur versions while weighing considerably less. Most mittens featured a two-part design, a waterproof outer shell and an insulated inner liner that could be removed for drying. Some designs included extra hair stuffing around the fingertips, the area most prone to frostbite. While keeping hands warm was vital, the Inuit also developed an unexpected technique for protecting their outer clothing from weather damage. Inuit people often tossed dry snow onto their outer garments before going outside. This counterintuitive trick might sound crazy. Why would you add more snow to your clothes in freezing temperatures? Yet it was a brilliant climate hack. This technique worked because dry, powdery snow actually repelled wetter snow and prevented moisture from soaking into clothing. The tiny dry snow particles created a barrier that stopped wet snow from sticking and melting into the fur or fabric. It's like throwing dirt on yourself before a mud wrestling match, except the stakes were frostbite instead of a trophy. During hunts or journeys, Inuit travelers would periodically refresh this protective dusting when it wore off. The science behind this method is fascinating. Dry snow at very cold temperatures has a different crystalline structure than slightly warmer, wetter snow that falls around freezing. The colder, drier snow doesn't stick or melt easily, creating a protective barrier against the wetter variety that causes soaked clothing. Tests of this method show it reduces moisture absorption in fur clothing by up to 70%. This simple trick helped keep outer layers dry, which was key for staying warm in sub-zero temperatures. These 15 Inuit methods for staying warm without modern technology showcase an extraordinary understanding of survival physics and practical innovation.